Less technology for China, fewer chips for Beijing. The Netherlands and Japan join hands with the United States in implementing some controls on their exports to China. The agreement, reported by the Associated Press so far, would see companies advanced chip makers like Dutch ASML and Japanese Nikon limit their exports. The agreement follows the US's decision in October last year to impose strict controls on the sale of semiconductors and the machines used to make them to China. All right, let's get more of this from Fraser Howey, China analyst and book author. Welcome back to the program, Fraser. Should these plans come to fruition, they haven't been confirmed yet, how much of a damper would they be to China's tech ambitions?
Well, it's certainly going to be a damper. ASML, which basically builds the machines that makes the chips, and indeed has this almost the most advanced technology to make the smallest chips. That's very important for all the big chip manufacturers. So China being restricted access to that will certainly slow things down. As we know, China has for many years poured billions of dollars into the chip sector, trying to catch up with Japan in the West. And the reality is they have failed largely. And so this is clearly going to dent things, slow things down. The question is, what are the unintended consequences of it? Biden has clearly sort of continued the trade war with China in a much more sophisticated way, but it's not clear what the end goal actually will be here, or the outcomes at least will be.
Fraser, it is Japan and the Netherlands that are reportedly teaming up with the US here against China. Do you see a bigger alliance forming?
Well, I think you have a lot of countries which are broadly, under the title of the West, but obviously Japan and South Korea falls under that broad liberal democracy Western sort of mindset as well, even though they're not technically in Europe or in the Americas. But yes, you have a lot of countries who have been big trade partners with China who are now pushing back. They see China as certainly a competitor, in some areas certainly a threat. And the Chinese language around towards Japan recently has been very belligerent. So there's certainly, I don't know if it's an alliance forming, but there's certainly many countries, liberal democracies, that are coming together and pushing back on China and very much changing the China engagement policy.
And speaking of consequences, China has responded angrily, saying trade curbs will disrupt supply chains and the global economic recovery. Does Beijing have a point here?
They do to some extent, but of course they're going to get all angry and upset. But the trouble is China has very few sort of good cards to play here. Much of this manufacturing can ultimately move elsewhere. China remains, in its high-tech sector, largely an assembler using foreign-produced products. So it will be very concerned that it's going to be cut off from the most advanced products.
China analyst Fraser Howey, thank you for your thoughts.
Thank you.